The other interesting thing recently is just under a week ago, we saw the REINZ release data showing that average house prices in New Zealand increased about 5% plus during February. Well, hello everybody and welcome to the first of these video logs I'm going to be doing each week for New Zealand home loans. Each time I do this, I'm going to have a look at maybe one of the most recent pieces of economic data, and especially on the housing market and to do with interest rates. Maybe try and put it in a bit of context so you can have a better understanding of what's likely to be happening with the level of activity in the housing market, house prices, and I guess especially interest rates, which does seem to be something which is moving a little bit at the moment and grabbing some extra attention. We've seen over the past few months, and especially maybe the past 4 weeks, some fairly large increases in interest rates overseas and in New Zealand in the wholesale markets. Now, what we economists mean by that is those are the markets where banks are doing their borrowing in order to lend you money. So if a bank lends you money at a fixed interest rate for, let's say, 3 years, they will borrow at a fixed interest rates in the wholesale market for about 3 years as well. And what we've seen since October last year, the cost to banks in New Zealand of borrowing money to lend at a fixed rate for a 1 year period, it's increased in price about 0.3%. For a 3 year period, about 0.8%. And if, like me, you're a fan of the 5 year fixed rate, currently 2.99%, the cost to a bank in New Zealand of borrowing money to lend that out has increased about 1.1% from back in October. So there's some pressure on banks there, and eventually, maybe in the next few weeks, I think we will see some fixed interest rates go up, mainly for the longer terms, but not until you and I actually start borrowing out there. To date, most of us have still grabbed the candy of 2.29% fixed for 1 year, and why not? So you've probably still got a few weeks, I think, left in order to have a look at some of those longer rates. The other interesting thing recently is just under a week ago, we saw the REINZ release data showing that average house prices in New Zealand increased about 5% plus during February. Now, it's a huge increase, completely unsustainable. I think we all know that, but it's pre the changes in the LVRs, the loan to value ratios, and the minimum deposits. A lot of people simply jumping into the market as investors looking to get something locked in before they had to come up with an extra 10 or 20% deposit. The minimum deposit for anybody borrowing now, and you as an investor, is 40%. And I can already see from the more up-to-date monthly surveys I do of real estate agents and advisors, there's a few more investors coming forward to sell some property and a few investors starting to pull back from the market as well. So the LVR implementation there definitely having an impact on the timing of these sharp increases in prices. I think things are going to edge on a bit lower in the near future. And when I say lower, I don't actually mean prices falling. I'm talking about the rate of increase in house prices on average for New Zealand, probably everywhere around the country, slowly easing off as the year goes by. In future weeklies, I'll have a look at some of the demand factors which lead me to say I still see prices rising come the end of this year, maybe 5 or 10% or so. All the best, enjoy.